So now we have, we're going to talk about Texas. So when we start talking about Texas in this entire lesson, what we need to realize is that, so we know when we look at a map of America, of the whole continent of North America right now, you've got the United States of America. To the north of us, we have Canada. We fought with the British over Canada and some of those boundary lines. But then south of us, we have Mexico. So at one point, Mexico was under Spanish control from Spain. So in 1821, Mexico, they got their independence. They became their own country. So they also, when they became their own country, they claimed some of the area that's now in the United States as theirs. So they claimed Texas, and they claimed some of the southwestern states like Arizona, New Mexico, over in the southwestern region. So there's your little bit of background on that. Mexico had just gotten their independence, and Mexico had laid claim. They said, okay, this area is ours, because then we didn't have all of our states, so it wasn't like they would have come in today and said, oh, this is the United States, we're going to take it. It was just kind of laying up for grabs. So Texas was, Mexico claimed Texas, but they said, some Americans can come settle it. We're going to let Americans settle Texas, but we've got a couple different rules. So first, they had to become Mexican citizens, and they had to be loyal Mexican citizens, and then they also had to convert their religion. They had to be Catholics. So Mexico said, you all can come settle Texas. We'll let that happen, but you have to become Mexican citizens, and you have to be Catholic. So some of the colonists that were doing it, they're like, oh yeah, we'll do that. No problem. That's good. We'll come settle Texas. But they didn't actually follow the rules. So by 1830, so remember, Mexico has just become their own country in 1821. 1830, just 9 years later, Mexico's like, this is not working out. This is not going to happen. You all aren't following our rules. We're telling you this is what you have to do, and you're not doing it, so we're going to cut this off. No more colonists can come settle in Texas. But the colonists didn't listen to that either. So they hadn't listened to the rules about what they had to do if they wanted to settle in Texas. And they also didn't listen to the rule that said no more colonists in Texas. So at this time, we've got a lot of colonists in Texas. We're not following the rules. Now the Texans, the people who live there, as a state, as a community, they stopped following Mexican rules. They're like, yeah, we don't really think those are for us anymore. We don't want to follow them. We don't think so. And they start talking about rebelling against Mexico. So they wanted to break away. They had planned to rebel. And they did. And they won. So they won against Mexico. There were some battles. And you'll read about those in your lesson. And so then Texas was annexed to the United States. It was like, okay, they're yours now. But then, so Mexico, they couldn't have been really happy about that. It happened, but they weren't super excited to lose Texas. So then a few years later, there were some boundary line disputes where the United States said Texas' boundary line was as not where Mexico said that the boundary line was. And then New Mexico, which is now our state of New Mexico, the U.S. wanted to buy that from Mexico, and Mexico was like, yeah, we don't really want to sell it, sorry. And so because we had the boundary line issues and because Mexico didn't want to sell New Mexico to us, that led into the Mexican-American War. And you'll read more about that in your lesson. But that was the background leading up to how Texas became a state and then the tensions that led to the Mexican-American War.